So we are borrowing $5 billion to invest it in rail line expansion. For example, maybe for the first time, you have a proper rail network that will connect the eastern part of Nigeria to the western part of Nigeria. And for example, we are taking a loan of $5 billion, right, to complete the east-west road, and we want to toll it so that you know, the time for traveling from this end of the country to this end of the country, including even like typical Nigeria, let's say, including the one they had from Sokoto to Badagry. So when you take such loans and they are attached to something, right, it is like you can easily say it is worth it, right, for development. Or you heard the ridiculous things they were taking the loan for, women preservation, something, right? There was so many other ridiculous things that they took the loan, but these are just the ones that Ndume is kind of like putting out. 13 trillion naira, his own estimates. Ndume, from all he listed, Ndume has not listed what do you call it, about $2 billion bond that these guys have written in the last 20 months. $2 billion. And they are always attaching what they want to do to economy, improving the economy, in stabilizing the focus of economy to development, $1.5 billion. To stabilize Nigerian naira against market forces, they went to take $3.3 billion from Afrexim Bank. Have you forgotten? That's also part of the deal. So in the last, that's not just that. What about the printed money? Ways and means. Tinubu and Kadobi Oduduwa Emefiole, they came together with this fraud, right? And they said, oh, Tinubu has paid off the 27.5 trillion naira printed by Bokwari. And he didn't pay anything off. Because right now, Tinubu himself has collected over 30 trillion naira. You heard me right, 30 trillion naira, okay? For as a ways and means. This is what they did. Let me explain that to you again. When Bokwari was printing that money, which according to the exchange rate of that time, Bokwari printed over $50 billion. And there's nobody that can say this is what they used the money for. All right? So the Constitution says that the Central Bank of Nigeria could borrow the Nigerian government 5% of their total budgets whenever they are running a deficit. So that means since the money accrued from crude oil sales goes to the central bank, it doesn't like that anymore. They've shared the money now. If you ask them how much has NNPC remitted in the last 20 months, they can't give you a figure. They will attack you. They will abuse you. But these are those who are making the economic decision for that contraption. Sure you get. So Bokwari printed $50 billion. Nobody, not a single person can answer the question, what did he use the money for in 8 years? But listen, Tinubu now has printed over 30 trillion naira, 30 trillion. With this today's exchange rate, that is over $15 billion. You heard me right? Right? So if you ask them, there are ways and means. Now, why did you lie to us that you have paid off the Bokwari's 27.5 trillion naira? Why did you say that? Now they said they securitize it, meaning it will now be like a future debt. So Tinubu will be like, oh, you know you, Tinubu, you see Nigeria, would have to start on a clean slate under you. Even though this money has caused so much hyperinflation in the system, no real value, destroyed your currency, the naira. But you know something? We can wipe the slate clean for you or pretend to wipe it clean. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to print some papers print some words, some papers that will say this debt of 30 trillion naira plus interest to hold by government of Nigeria, which normally has already broken the law. Everybody involved already broken the law, including Bukwari. Or you know you, instead of us to continue to add it to the debt, whatever we give you, instead of adding it more to the debt that you met under Bukwari, we just scribble some words in paper to say in 40 years' time, if Nigeria is still existing, in 40 years' time, Bukwari's debt will be paid by the generation that exists then in 2020. Hey, hang on. 40 years, that would be like in 2065. So in 2065, the Bukwari's debt, which caused the inflation, the economic ruin that led to, which led to the economic ruin you are witnessing today in that contraption. So for Tinubu not to feel like, here you get, so this mattered, right? Let's just pretend it doesn't matter. So the money is out there. We don't know what they use it for, okay? But let's just say, you don't have to pay it back until 2065. Now we can start afresh with you. So right now, every money we give to you, we'll start counting it like this is the first money, loan, to be given to the government. This is the Central Bank of Nigeria. And that is why today, the same Central Bank of Nigeria that is doctoring figures, that are faking different data, pushing them out there, pushing propaganda. But people are wondering that when they push all these figures out there, for example, inflation has come down. Here you get food inflation has also kind of like come down. Prices of food are beginning to crash. Then people are asking themselves, what are you talking about? They say, no, we are talking about people in Jigawa. Say, what are you talking about? Why would you just talk about people in Jigawa? What about us here? What about us, It's the people in Kano. People in Kano, Sabungari market said the food prices are coming down now. So does that mean that, is that your template? They say, yeah, that's the template we're going to use. These rogues. But there are other underlying factors too, apart from what this Ndume just kind of like spewed. None of this is alien to us, not on this platform. Yeah. In fact, sometimes when I am reading out some of these, debts and questioning what they want to use them for, and what they are, really doing is not investing in the future of anybody. The future generation, see, generations yet unborn in that contraption, they've had their future mortgaged. It's as simple as that. They are going to be born into poverty. Here you get. And their own children will be born in poverty. These guys have incurred debt that they signed to pay back for 100 years. How many of us are going to be here in 100 years? If this money that will be paid back for 100 years, if they have been invested genuinely in proper infrastructure, right, you will say, oh, well, this investment will pay for the loans in the future. The future generation won't really have to like, say you get, be born into poverty. But they are not investing in anything like that. Unfortunately, they are not. But there are other underlying factors, like I said, there are others too. Because you see that Zobo they sold you about Port Harcourt refinery, and you are still wondering, like, if now you get the crude oil, if now you get the refinery, how come that the price of a liter of petroleum, PMS, and diesel, how come they are still in this high, even more than Dangote's? Because there is no Port Harcourt refinery working. There is no Warri refinery working. The guy that put up the whole scheme and scam is the same guy that broke up at the NNPC of Nigeria and privatized it. They sold shares to themselves. Nigeria is paying the salaries of these guys, but they are also acting like they are private companies. Company. So the guy that did all of that, who called himself CEO, you see, GMD is the official title of NNPC director, right? I've been a chairman. What do they call them? GMD, Group Managing Director, GMD of NNPC, right? Now, this guy created different office for himself. And then himself and his friends, with Bukwari, is like the Emefiole of NNPC. But somehow, right, they told him that they've spoken to Tinubu. Tinubu would extend his tenure. So he started putting together all these GPT projects that now the whole thing will come to light very soon. Sure you get. So they said that he will get an extension. Unfortunately, Kolu disappointed them and he got sacked and he got replaced by a Fulani Yoruba from Kwara, Ilorin. So there are some of them who felt like the position of NNPC, normally, it is the entitlement of the Northerners. So Tinubu, this is part of why Ndume is talking, here you get, that if you remove any Northerner from NNPC, you are supposed to replace them with another Northerner. So if Tinubu is replacing them with a Yoruba man or a Fulani man that has a Yoruba name from Ilorin, because don't let us deceive ourselves. You see, most of these guys who are like Fulani Yorubas from Ilorin, they actually see themselves as a Fulani than they see themselves as Yorubas. But that doesn't really matter. So this guy that Tinubu now appointed to replace Kyari shook them in their clique, within their group. They're like, damn, right? They're now hearing the rumor again that Tinubu is going to sack Mahmoud very soon. I don't know how soon that's going to be. And he's going to appoint another Yoruba man. And the same way he's going to play them is likely going to just go to maybe Kogi State. You know, they call Kogi North Central, the same way they call Kwara North Central, right? And just pick a Yoruba man from there, and they will say it's from the north. I don't know. So they are hearing of that too. And that makes them feel like something has to be done. Okay? And don't forget too, some of the actions of Tinubu really affect these guys directly more than the others, okay? Ndume, for example, whose daughter is also working for the Central Bank of Nigeria. His daughter has been given a kind of like an offer. Are you going to relocate to Lagos as we are moving to some of these branches of NNPC to Lagos? Or do you want us to just pay you off, 1 year payoff, and then that's it, you don't work for Central Bank anymore? So I am pointing out all these other factors, right? So that when you listen to him, right, you just have them at the back of your mind in order not to be too swayed. But at the same time, right, just kind of see him as the window into whatever it is running through them in the entire coven that they called establishment in that contraption, right? Now, listen to this part. This is where Ndume really went for Tinubu's men. The party actually said these guys are not even Nigerians. They have dual citizenship, which means they are not loyal to Nigeria. All of their decisions, all of their this and that to hurt the people of Nigeria makes them money. So if Nigeria blow up, they will go to their countries as part of his submission. Listen to this part.
The figures are there. You can look at the figures. I sent you one. I sent you figures. It's not that I'm just making accusations. And it's not that I'm saying, well, the president has no right to do that kind of thing. But there's a constitutional provision. Section 14.3 of the Constitution is very, very clear. When you look at it vis-a-vis the appointments made so far, and they are political appointments, if appointments that are professional, so to say, like you can't appoint somebody who is not a soldier to become the chief of army staff, or you can't appoint somebody that is not a police to be the IG of police. And you can't appoint such persons once they don't get to, they are not qualified. But then, when you come to look at political appointments, the Constitution is very clear. And it's because to avoid such infractions that the Constitution Section 14.3 clearly states that appointments, especially political appointments, should reflect the federal character. And that is not the case here. And all I'm saying is to call the attention of Mr. President to such infractions so that it can be corrected. Otherwise, you know, these things can boomerang at a certain period of time. Right. It's not. And I know, as you rightly said, people look at me, as somebody that is critical of the government, I have the right to do that in the first place. And in fact, that's why I'm in the National Assembly in the first place. Collectively, we are supposed to oversight the acts of Mr. President and point out some of these irregularities.
Absolutely.
That is what we swore to do. It's not personal. I think I have better personal relationship with most of these people that are talking about Tinubu. And I can say in the North, if you count, not up to 5 people that have close relationship with Mr. President, Ndume is one of them. But that does not stop me from speaking the truth and have obligation to do that, especially when all of us know that at the end of it all, each one of us will stand before God, and God will ask him to account for what he is responsible for. You understand? And that's why I'm saying this. And besides, we are all in this government. What will we tell our people? When you have these figures out, it's already viral, it's already in circulation. But you know what? From now, after this interview, those attack dogs or MAGA dogs will start attacking Ndume, not the message. And that's why we always get it right. It is not about Ndume or me being a senator. As a Nigerian, I have the right to voice out all these things. Not only that, I have the right to even protest. I have the right. That is guaranteed by the Constitution. But from tomorrow, those so-called Tinubu boys or people will start attacking Ndume. Oh, he's a frustrated person.
But I mean, the facts are there, though, aren't they?
Yeah, the facts are there. These are the facts. I brought it here so that you can see it. I sent it to you. These are facts. And I'm not the one that created it. These are facts extracted from what is going on there.
But is it the generality of his appointments, or is it the more sort of juicier jobs?
No. It's not about juicier jobs. It's about spread. It's about equity. It's about justice. You understand? And look, the coming of Mr. President is based on justice, equity, and fairness. And it is expected that he will continue in that direction to ensure fairness.
You mean because he came from the South?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is one. But he swore as a president to be fair, equitable, and justful. That is what the president swore to be. But that is not what is being reflected in the events, whether he knows it or he doesn't know. That's why I called on his attention to look at these things so that he can do something about it. That is the issue. And now I'm also begging or calling those attack dogs out there to please address the issues.
Rather than Senator Ndume.
Rather than Senator Ndume, address the message. Because I know now those attack dogs who cannot, I repeat, defend the president when the chips are down. Why I'm saying chips are down, most of them, go and check them. I did my research too. I will come up with the figures. Almost 60 or 70% of them are half Nigerians. You know why? I accuse you of one time of being half.
Don't even go there. you know what I mean? Do not go there.
Okay,
please.
I will not go there because of you. But it's true, most of the appointees, you check around, I'll come up with the figures. Most of them are people that have double citizenship.
I mean dual citizens.
Dual citizens.
Right. Well, it's not illegal to be a dual citizen.
I'm not saying it's illegal, but all I'm saying is those type of people cannot give the country 100% because they are not 100% Nigerians
well,
anyway.
I disagree with you.
Okay.
On that score. I mean, any other thing...
Because you are one of them anyway.
I told you not to go there. Now you've gone there.
Okay.
But the point is that, no. I mean, I think the real issue here is whether there is an infraction on the federal character constitutional provisions of this country. And you have provided evidence that seems to support that fact. But let me ask you something else, because you are a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You're a lawmaker. And part of what is involved in being a lawmaker is making just and equitable laws. It's not just a law, because I mean, if you look at it from a different perspective, people have a right to oppose a law that is not just. if it is shown not to be just. I mean, should it really matter where someone comes from as long as they are capable and competent in the job that they are chosen to do?
No, not at all. Not at all. In fact, I stood in support of that. I support the president getting, even if it is an expatriate, to occupy a certain position as long as it doesn't infract
on the Constitution.
On the Constitution.
Right.
But what he's doing now infracts on the Constitution. And worst of it,